Hello! It is finally the last video. I hope, as you guys heard in the last video that I uploaded, that you guys can even hear me right now because I recently found out about the sound issue on these videos. I'm hoping I was able to fix that and upload this in the first place. This video, we will be talking finally about having been initiated into your intuition and what happens when you initiate your life into that intuition and what happens when you step foot into the mundane world again. If you guys are enjoying these videos, these daily uploads, for the future, they won't be daily as I put out more chapters, but I will be putting out more chapters, so please subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of the next chapter that comes out, which will be chapter 4. Please join the Facebook group of the Wild Women Book Club, where we can talk and discuss and learn and share and inspire and motivate each other about our intuitions and learning about womanhood and being a better woman and just being ourselves and all of that kind of stuff. Please join that so that we can talk. I post in there daily motivational, inspirational stuff, and I just can't wait to get to know you guys and talk to you guys there. Make sure that you like this video if you guys are enjoying this. I'm sure you guys like the video if you guys have been watching this far in. Please do. It just lets me know to keep making them. And yeah, I've been making so many of these intros, I can't remember anything else to say. Without further ado, let's just get back. Let's just get into the video. So, the 9th task, recasting the shadow. It says, using one's acute vision, fiery eyes, to recognize and react to the negative shadow of one's own psyche and or negative aspects of persons and events in the outer world. Recasting the negative shadows in one's own psyche. Recasting the negative shadows in one's psyche with hagfire, the wicked stepfamily which formerly tortured Vasilisa is turned into cinders. The skull, like the doll, represents intuition, but it is now fully grown. That intuition blazes on ahead of us with our own light, a light within itself of its own that lights the way ahead of us, that is fiery and fearsome, and sometimes can make us want to throw it away. As Vasilisa was afraid of it and almost threw it away herself, that just represents any strong character of our own psyche and what our psyche tries to do to it. But as we have these more positive, strong characters, it's not unusual to try to throw it away, but it's so necessary that we don't, and that we hold on to it, and that we build our strength and endurance of it. But it is a burden to bear to have your intuition as strong as the fiery light coming from the skull. The book says, each woman who receives her intuition and yaga-like powers reaches a point where she is tempted to throw them away. For what is the use of seeing and knowing all these things? This skull light is not forgiving. In its light, the old are elderly, the beautiful lush, the silly foolish, the drunk are drunken, the unfaithful are infidels. Things which are incredible are noted as miracles. Skull light sees what it sees. It is an internal light and right out front, shining ahead of a woman like a presence which goes a little bit before her and reports back to her what it has found ahead. It is her perpetual recognizance. Yet, when one sees and senses thusly, then one has to work to do something about what one sees. To possess good intuition, goodly power, causes work. It causes work firstly in the watching and comprehending of negative forces and imbalances of both inward and outward. Secondly, it causes striving in the gathering up of the will in order to do something about what one sees, be it for good or balance or to allow something to live or die. It is true that it is more comfortable to throw away the light and to just live and go back to sleep. But that comfort does not last long, because that comfort is an outward comfort, and on the inside, your inside will constantly fight because it knows the difference. It's been introduced to the truth. And once something's been introduced to the light, it don't want to go back to darkness. Once you've been black, you can't ever go back. I wanted to say, and that while it is completely natural to want to throw it away, if you do decide to keep it and listen to that intuition inside, your intuition changes your life for the beautiful. If you actually, just imagine if you really had all the things that you wanted deep down, if you put in the amount of effort to fight for it and to see the truth behind it, and then you were able to create the actual life that you deeply want within your soul. The people that are in it are of it, and all of that. How beautiful is that? The book says, "Yet with this light, the miracles of deep beauty in the world and in humans come to consciousness. With this penetrating light, one can see past the bad action to the good heart. One can espy the sweet spirit crushed beneath hatred. One can understand much instead of being perplexed only. This light can differentiate layers of personality, intention, and motives in others. It can determine consciousness and unconsciousness in self and others. It is the wand of knowing. It is the mirror in which all things are sensed and seen. It is the deep wild nature. Yet there are times when its reports are painful and almost too much to bear. For also the fiery skull points out where there are betrayals brewing, where there is faintness of courage in those who speak otherwise. It points out envy lying like cold grease behind a warm smile. It points out the looks which are mere masks for dislike. As regards oneself, its light is equally bright. It shines on our treasures and on our foils. It is these knowings which are the most difficult to face. It is at this point that we always want to throw away all this damnable, shrewd knowing of ourselves. It is here that we feel, if we will not ignore it, a strong force from the self saying, "Don't throw me away. Keep me. You'll see." So, if we're able to be strong enough to get past the want to throw away our intuition and to actually listen to it, we are able to reach true gaining of things that we never imagined we could have. What happens when we do decide to actually follow the intuition, those parts of our psyche that were like in our shadow of our psyche and tearing us down, like Vasilisa's stepfamily, they're left with no light and no fire. It says in the book, "And this is exact truth of any woman's psyche when she is in her wildish power. During that time, the things which have oppressed her have no libido, and it is all taken up by the good journey. Without libido, the nastier aspects of the psyche, those which exploit the creative life of a woman, or encourage her to squander her life away with minutiae, these become like gloves with no hands in them. The fiery skull begins to peer at the stepsisters and stepmother, watching and watching them intently. Can a negative aspect of the psyche be reduced to cinder by watching and being watched? Yes, it can. Holding it in consistent consciousness can cause the thing to dehydrate. As long as they had no fire without her, they were already dry, and then her bringing back her fiery intuition burnt them out to a crisp because it was able to see the truth behind the lie. And this is just true. Darkness and light can't reside in the same place. So as long as you hold on to your light, the darkness has to leave. However, the way that the fiery skull goes about the actual killing of the stepfamily is interesting as well, because it doesn't go about it in a violent way that the Bluebeardian thing, before it does, like the Bluebeardian part of our psyche does. It tears away just access to anything, and it's violent. This aspect of our intuition, it just watches. It just watches and waits, because you don't have to necessarily always do something when it comes to these things, especially if it's not affecting you anymore. The stepfamily wasn't torturing her anymore, So sometimes just by being you and continuing to watch and be aware, things will fall apart around you that were meant to fall apart. And when things are meant to happen, they happen, no matter what. So it says in the book, in this manner, the 3 small cinders are in the province of the life-death-life mother. They are reduced down to almost nothing in the psyche. They are deprived of libido. Now something new can occur. In most cases, when we consciously deprive a psychic thing of juice, it shrivels and its energy is released or reconfigured. There is another side to this draining of the deconstructive step family. One cannot keep the consciousness one has earned by meeting the hag goddess and carrying the fairy light and so forth if one lives with cruel people outwardly or inwardly. If you are surrounded by people who cross their eyes and look with disgust up at the ceiling when you're in the room, when you speak, when you act and react, then you are with people who douse passions, yours and probably their own as well. These are not the people who care about you, your work, or your life. A woman must choose her friends and lovers wisely, for both can become like the bad stepmother and rotten stepsisters. In the case of our lovers, we often invest them with the power of a great mage, a great magician. This is easy to do, for if we become truly intimate, it is like unlocking a lead crystal atelier, a magic one, or so it feels to us. Sorry, I didn't know that word. A lover can engender and or destroy even our most durable connections to our own cycles and ideas. The destructive lover must be avoided. A better sort of lover is one finely wrought with strong psychic muscle and tender flesh. For wild women, it also helps if the lover is just a little bit psychic too, a person who can see into her heart. When the wildish woman has an idea, the friend or lover will never say, well, I don't know, sounds really dumb, grandiose, undoable, expensive, etc. to me. A right friend will never say that. They might say, instead, I don't know if I understand. Tell me how you see it. Tell me how it will work. Having a lover/friend who regards you as a living, growing creature, being, just as much as the tree from the ground, or ficus in the house, or a rose garden in the side of the yard. Having a lover or friend who look at you as a true living, breathing entity, one that is human but made of very fine and moist magical things as well. A lover and friend who support the creature in you. These are the people you are looking for. They will be the friends of your soul for life. Mindful choosing of friends and lovers, not to mention teachers, is critical to remaining conscious, remaining intuitive, remaining in charge of the fiery light that sees and knows. I think that this is just interesting because something that I've always thought of with my relationships, and then that I'm starting to think of when it comes to my friendships, is that love is about a decision. You have to decide to support someone, and you have to decide to do it on a daily basis. You can't just expect that from anyone, and you can't just expect someone to expect that of you and to know that you'll do that for them. And I think that as long as you find the people who are genuinely making that decision to love you, and you are genuinely making that decision to love them, you can never be steered wrong. But as long as you're leaving decisions up to these people and constantly following everyone else's direction, it's not that those people will ever steer you wrong, but you're steering yourself wrong in the first place, because the first step of figuring out your intuition is listening and asking yourself what you want. The next part of the book I wanted to read to you guys says, the way to maintain one's connection to the wild is to ask yourself, what is it that you want? This is the sorting of the seed from the dirt. One of the most important discriminations we can make in this matter is the difference between things that beckon to us and things that call to us from our souls. When I was a little girl, I used to be good at math. And I used to tell people that I may be good at math, but I don't like math. So, by around 5th grade, I wasn't so good at math. And people used to be bothered by that. People as in people in my family. They used to be like, you should practice more and then that way you would be good at it. But I didn't like it. And when you don't like something, it's not for you. Same with track and soccer. Yeah. I'm not good at doing things I don't like. What you like isn't always going to be the norm. Choose what you genuinely want out of life. I talk about this all the time. I genuinely don't want to move into an apartment with a lease right now because I want to travel the world. So that genuinely means that I want to move to like Airbnbs or like rent a room or something like that, or buy a van or something like that. And that's a choice for me. I understand that most people wouldn't necessarily want that, but I make the choice because that's what I want with my life. So maybe you want something different with your life. Maybe instead of going on spring break in Cabo, you're going to go to North Dakota and visit your grandma because you need to visit her. Make choices for you. I want to read this section of the book for you guys. It says, "This is how it works. Imagine a smorgasbord laid out with whipped cream, salmon and bagels, roast beef, fruit salad, green enchiladas, rice, curry, yogurt, and many, many other things for table after table after table. Imagine you survey it all and you see certain things that appeal to you. You remark to yourself, oh, I would really like to have one of those, and one of that, and some of this." Some women and men make all their life decisions this way. There is around and about us a constant beckoning world, one which insinuates itself into our lives, arousing and creating appetite where there was little or none before. In this sort of choice, we choose a thing because it just happened to be beneath our noses at that moment. It is not necessarily what we want, but it is interesting, and the longer we gaze at it, the more compelling it becomes. When we are connected to the instinctual self, to the soul of the feminine, which is natural and wild, then instead of looking over what happens to be on display, we say to ourselves, what am I hungry for? Without looking at anything outwardly, we venture inward and ask, what do I long for? What do I wish for now? Alternate phrases are, what do I crave? What do I desire? For what do I yearn? And the answer usually arrives rapidly. Oh, I think I want, you know what would be really good is some, yes, that's what I really want. Is that on the smorgasbord? Maybe yes, maybe no. In some cases, probably not. We will have to quest for it a little bit, and sometimes for a considerable amount of time. But in the end, we shall find it, and be glad we took sounding of our deeper longings. To actually truly get what we want deep, deep down inside would be so incredibly amazing to me. I think that is the encompass of what I want out of life, is to convince people that they don't have to compromise and that they can truly live their truth and have all of those things. As I'm literally saying this out loud, it's literally coming together in my own head that is my purpose in life. I want people to know that. That is so important. It's so true. Like if we fight for it, we can genuinely have the life that we fantasize about. And maybe not exactly the way that we fantasize about it, but the principle of it for sure. The book says, a lover cannot be chosen a la smorgasbord. A lover has to be chosen from the soul craving. To choose just because something is mouth-watering stands before you, you will never satisfy the hunger of the soul self. And that is what intuition is for. It is a direct messenger of the soul. That's like, yes. I feel like in my relationship now, like that's what I have that I've never had in any other relationship. I'm not fighting to be in a relationship with Braylon. I'm fighting to be in a relationship with the man that I've always wanted to one day father my children, and he happens to be fighting to be that person because that's who he already wanted to be his entire life, and then he just happened to meet someone who was looking for that. And the same for me. He doesn't want to be with Bridget. He wants to be with the woman that he's always wanted to be with, and I just happen to already want to be that woman. One thing that people fear about following their intuition is that they think that their intuition is going to be rigid and strict. But actually, your intuition is never rigid. It's not. It has options. It says here, intuition provides options. When you are connected to the instinctual self, you have at least 4 choices. The 2 opposites, then the middle ground, and the taken for further contemplation. If you are not vested in the intuitive, you may think you only have 1 choice, and that it seems to be the undesirable one. And perhaps you feel that you ought to suffer about it, and submit, and force yourself to do it. But no, there's a better way. Listen to the inner hearing, the inner seeing, the inner being. Follow it. It knows what to do next. One of the most remarkable things about using intuition and the instinctive nature is that it causes sure-footed spontaneity to erupt. And spontaneity doesn't mean being unwise. It is not a pounce and blurt attribute. Good boundaries are still important. Being real doesn't mean being reckless. It means allowing la voz mitológica, the mythological voice, to speak. One does this by shutting off the ego for a little while and letting that which wishes to speak, speak. So don't be afraid of your intuition. Don't think that just because you're following your intuition, suddenly you're going to have to make a decision that's so painful for you. That's actually something that I definitely struggled with and often struggle with, honestly. Finally, for those wishing to experience the Baba Yaga, I have this last part of the book that I wanted to read. In consensual reality, we all have access to little wild mothers in the flesh. These are women who, as you see them, something in you leaps. Something in you thinks, Mama. You take one look and think, I am her progeny, I am her child. She is my mother, my grandmother. In the case of un hombre con pechos, figuratively, a man with breasts, you think, oh grandfather, oh my brother, my friend. You just know that this man is nurturing. Paradoxically, they are strongly masculine and strongly feminine at the same time. They're like fairy godmother, like mentor, like the mother you never had or did not have long enough. That is un hombre con pechos. Con pechos. I don't speak Spanish. All these human beings could be called little wild mothers. Usually everyone has at least one. If we are lucky, throughout a lifetime we will have several. You are usually grown or at least in your late adolescence by the time you meet them. They are vastly different from the two good mothers. The little wild mothers guide you, burst with pride over your accomplishments. They are critical of blockages and mistaken notions in and around your creative, sensual, spiritual, and instinctual life. Their purpose is to help you to care about your art and to reattach you to the wildish instincts and to elicit your original best. They guide the restoration of the intuitive life, and they are thrilled when you make contact with the doll, proud when you find the Baba Yaga, and rejoicing when they see you coming back with the fiery skull held out before you. I'm always looking for that. That's part of why I make these videos, part of why I make the Facebook group. I want little wild mothers. I want to connect with other women that way, and men as well. So I just thought I needed to add that. I think that part is beautiful, and I'm always looking for that, and I would love to find that through doing this. So now that we are initiated, these are the final tasks of a lifetime with the wild woman. This part in the book says, perhaps recognizing intuition is the easier of the tasks, but holding it in consciousness and letting live what can live and letting die what must die is by far the most strenuous, yet so satisfying aim. Baba Yaga is the same as Mother Nyx, the mother of the world, another life, death, life goddess. The life, death, life goddess is always also a creator goddess. She makes, fashions, breathes life into. She is there to receive the soul when the breath has run out. Following her footsteps, we endeavor to learn to be born what must be born, whether all the right people are there or not. Nature does not ask permission. Blossom and birth whenever you feel like it. As adults, we need little permission, but rather more engendering, much more encouraging of the wild cycles, much more original vision. We all know in Los Averios when it is time for life, when it is time for death. We might try to fool ourselves for various reasons, but we know. Yeah, the end. So that was chapter 3 of Women Who Run with Wolves. The entire book is done. That was the 9th task. We have initiated our intuition, and it is now time to learn to reconcile with that. That is what more of the book is about. It comes home so hard, these chapters, you know? Thank you guys so much for watching these videos with me. Thank you so much for just commenting and just furthering my thought processes about all these topics and everything. I really hope you guys are enjoying the Facebook group and that we have started it and stuff, because this is all the same day that I started the Facebook group, so I don't know. But I hope that we're enjoying it, because I really would love to get to know you guys better and like talk to you guys about these stories and find some little wild mothers, you know? Please subscribe to this channel if you guys are enjoying these videos. Hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload the new chapters to this series. Make sure that you follow the Facebook group. It's in the description bar below, and you know, comment in there, talk to us, share something like that. Follow me on all my social media. I post on there very often, I update very often, so I would love to keep in touch. I'm always looking for more friends and more people to connect to. I love you guys. Thank you so much for this journey. Yeah, like the video too if you liked it. I'm gonna go. I gotta eat something. It's been a long day, y'all.